Welcome back, everybody, to The Deep Dive. Now, today, we're going to be switching gears a little bit. Instead of our usual data sets and, algorithms and spreadsheets and stuff, we're going to be looking at something a little more visual, a little more, well, cinematic, you could say.
Yeah, movies.
Movies, we're going to be talking about business movies.
That's right, and we've got a whole stack of them.
Yeah.
Articles, online discussions, all sorts of opinions on the best business movies for entrepreneurs. And our mission today is to kind of go beyond just giving you a list and actually try to figure out what is it about these stories that speaks to people who are, building businesses out there.
And it's really interesting, looking at this list, we've got such a variety. We've got these classic kind of cutthroat Wall Street finance movies, but then we've also got heartwarming family ventures. It really does run the gamut. But one thing I noticed is that there's one movie on this list that really kind of caused a stir.
Oh, yeah.
When it came out, it pulled in over $406 million at the box office. But it also generated a ton of controversy because of how it portrayed, let's just say, a less than traditional approach to stockbroking.
Yeah.
Any guesses?
I think a lot of people listening probably have an idea.
I think so, too.
Yeah, it's The Wolf of Wall Street, right?
The Wolf of Wall Street.
Based on the true story of Jordan Belfort.
Exactly.
Definitely left people with mixed feelings.
Yeah, some people saw it as a cautionary tale, don't do this. And then other people thought it was maybe glorifying that kind of excess a little too much.
Yeah, there was a lot of debate about that, for sure.
For sure. And that kind of leads into, I think, one of the big themes that I saw in the research is this tension between ambition on the one hand and kind of recklessness on the other.
Right.
And The Wolf of Wall Street really throws that in your face.
It does. And it asks some really interesting questions. Even though the movie isn't necessarily saying, hey, Jordan Belfort's methods are great, you should do that too, it does make you think about the allure of fast money. And how easy it is to get caught up in that and lose your way ethically.
Right. And we see that in some other movies on the list, too, like Wall Street is another example, where the main character gets seduced by that promise of power and wealth.
Right. And ultimately faces pretty serious consequences.
Yeah. But then it's interesting because, alongside these kind of cautionary tales, we've also got a lot of movies that are super inspiring.
Yeah.
Especially those, rags to riches stories.
Absolutely.
Joy and The Pursuit of Happiness. These movies that are really about the underdog overcoming these huge obstacles.
Yeah, those are so powerful because it's not just about luck.
Right.
They show you that these people have specific strategies and mindsets that help them succeed.
And Joy is a great example, right? It's not just showing a single mom who wins the lottery or something.
Yeah.
It actually shows how she comes up with this brilliant product.
Yeah, she identifies a need in the market and creates a solution. And that, combined with her just incredible resilience, that's what drives her success. And I think that's a huge lesson for entrepreneurs.
It's not just about having a good idea. It's about really, pushing for it and seeing it through.
Exactly. And The Pursuit of Happiness is another great example.
Yeah.
It's not just a feel-good story. It shows you the importance of believing in yourself, even when things are super tough.
Yeah.
And it also highlights the main character's strategic hustle. He's not just waiting around for something good to happen. He's creating opportunities for himself. He's constantly trying to learn and grow.
Right. He's putting himself out there, which is another really big theme I noticed is this idea of, challenging the status quo, being willing to adapt and do things differently.
Yeah. And that comes through really strongly in Moneyball, which is a baseball movie, but it actually has so many lessons for any business.
Right. And for anyone who's not familiar with that term, Moneyball refers to this idea of using data and analytics to make better decisions. So it's basically about using information to spot patterns and trends that other people might miss, and then using that to your advantage.
Exactly. And that's what entrepreneurship is all about, right?
Yeah.
It's about seeing opportunities where others don't.
Totally. And being willing to take those risks.
And what's so cool about Moneyball is that it shows you that sometimes breaking the rules and doing things differently can lead to amazing results.
Definitely. Now, another really fascinating category that popped up was movies about Silicon Valley and the tech world, The Social Network, which tells the story of how Facebook got started.
Which I think has become even more relevant today.
Oh, absolutely. It gives you this glimpse into the early days of a company that has completely changed how we connect and communicate.
Right.
But it's also a story about the challenges that come with that kind of rapid innovation, the ethical dilemmas, the personal costs.
Yeah, it makes you think about what you're willing to sacrifice.
For sure. And it's not just about the technology itself.
Right.
It's about the people behind it. Mark
Yeah.
Zuckerberg's journey as it's portrayed in the film is really fascinating.
It is. You see his drive, his brilliance, but also the potential downsides of that kind of ambition.
For sure. So now we've talked about these kind of big blockbuster movies,
Yeah,
but what I'm really curious about is to hear from real entrepreneurs,
me too.
people who are actually out there building businesses and see how these movies resonate with them. And we've got a whole stack of Reddit threads
Yes.
where people are weighing in on these movies. So I'm excited to jump into that
Let's do it.
and see what insights we can glean from those conversations.
I'm ready when you are.
So we've been talking about these business movies that really seem to speak to entrepreneurs, and now we're going to get into some real-world perspectives.
Yeah, we're going to dive into these Reddit threads you found,
Yes.
where actual entrepreneurs are talking about these films and what resonates with them.
Exactly. And it's
Yeah.
so fascinating to see which movies really strike a chord with people who are out there, building their own businesses. And one that came up a lot was Office Space.
Oh, yeah, classic.
A classic. And I mean, who hasn't felt that like soul-crushing monotony of the 9-to-5 grind at some point?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially those of us who've, escaped the cubicle life.
Exactly. And that's what's so interesting about these Reddit threads, is that for a lot of these entrepreneurs, watching Office Space wasn't just about laughing at those absurd situations.
Right.
It was almost like a validation of their choice to break free.
Totally. It's like, I've been there, I felt that, and I chose a different path.
Exactly. And speaking of relatable experiences, there were tons of comments about sales,
Oh, yeah.
especially those high-pressure moments of trying to close a deal.
Of course, Glenn Ross came up a lot.
Oh, yeah, with those like hardcore sales tactics.
Cutthroat competition.
It's intense, and even Tommy Boy, which is obviously way more comedic,
Right.
it still captures that awkwardness and that like sheer persistence that you need to succeed in sales.
You got to be relentless.
You really do. And what I thought was interesting was that a lot of people were actually looking at these movies as learning opportunities.
Oh, that's cool.
They were pointing out specific techniques that the characters were using, both good and bad,
Right.
and talking about how they apply to real-life selling situations.
That's awesome. It's like they're using these films as case studies.
It is. It's like having a mentor,
Right.
but way more entertaining.
Exactly. Now, another film that sparked a lot of discussion, especially around the theme of adaptation, was Moneyball.
Moneyball. Yeah, people really connected with that whole idea of challenging the status quo.
Billy Bean's approach to building a team was so unconventional.
It was, and he was using data and analytics to find these undervalued players that everyone else was overlooking.
And he proved that you can achieve amazing results by thinking differently.
It's a great reminder that sometimes the best solutions are the ones that nobody else has thought of yet.
Absolutely. So we've talked about some pretty popular business movies,
We have.
but I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about some maybe less obvious choices.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Films that offer a unique perspective on business and leadership. Are you ready for some surprises?
Hit me with it.
All right, first up, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Okay, hold on.
Now, hear me out before you think I've completely lost it.
Willy Wonka and business.
This whimsical tale actually has some interesting insights into succession planning.
Okay, explain this one to me.
Think about it. Wonka is searching for an heir, someone to take over his chocolate factory, right?
Yeah.
He needs someone who shares his values and his vision for the future of the company.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
It's a reminder for entrepreneurs to think about the long-term sustainability of their businesses. Like how do you make sure that your values and your mission live on even after you're gone?
That's a really interesting perspective. I never thought of Willy Wonka like that before.
Right. And then there's It's a Wonderful Life,
Ah, classic.
the classic. And while it's not specifically about business, it does say a lot about the impact that entrepreneurs can have on their communities.
Yeah, George Bailey's story is all about that idea that success isn't just about money.
Right.
It's about making a positive difference in the world around you.
And It's a Wonderful Life shows how even a small business can have a huge ripple effect.
Absolutely. Okay, what's the next hidden gem on your list?
Let's go with Chef.
Chef. I love that movie.
It's such a feel-good story about a talented chef who kind of hits a rough patch in his career and decides to start over.
Yeah, he starts his own food truck business.
Exactly. And it really captures that entrepreneurial spirit, that courage to take a risk and pursue your passion.
And it's so inspiring to see him rediscovering his love for cooking and building something from scratch.
And one thing I think is really relevant for entrepreneurs is how Chef highlights the importance of building relationships with your customers.
Oh, for sure.
The chef's success isn't just about his amazing food. It's about that personal touch, the passion he brings to his work.
And those connections he makes with the people he's serving.
Exactly. It's a reminder that in today's world especially, with so much competition online and everything,
Yeah.
building a strong brand often comes down to that human connection.
It's about creating those genuine relationships.
So that brings us to the end of our deep dive into these inspiring, thought-provoking, and sometimes surprising business movies.
It's amazing how these movies can, like, transport you, right?
Yeah.
You're suddenly in the middle of the action feeling those same pressures and triumphs as the characters.
Yeah, and it's not just about entertainment. These films can spark some really valuable insights into what it actually takes to build and run a business.
Absolutely. But now I want to kind of shift the focus from the big screen to, real life.
Oh, yeah.
To you, the listener, and your own unique entrepreneurial journey.
I like that. So imagine this. What if we were to make a movie about your journey as an entrepreneur?
What kind of movie would it be? What genre would it be?
Would it be like a high-stakes thriller set in the world of tech startups?
Ooh. Or maybe a heartwarming comedy about building a family business, kind of like a modern-day Big Night, but with a little chef sprinkled in.
Or maybe even a documentary that really captures the grit and determination it takes to make your vision a reality.
So many possibilities. And that's what's so cool about entrepreneurship, right? Every journey is different.
It really is. Every story is unique.
So think about it. What would be the central conflict in your entrepreneurial movie? What obstacles have you faced or are you facing right now that would make for a gripping storyline?
Is it the struggle to secure funding? Or the pressure to scale your business quickly?
Maybe it's that constant challenge of adapting to a market that's always changing.
Or maybe it's more of an internal conflict, like finding that balance between your passion and the practical realities of running a business.
Or maybe it's about learning to lead a team or even just figuring out that work-life balance thing.
It's different for everyone, but whatever your story is, we encourage you to think back to the films we've talked about and see which ones resonate with you the most.
Yeah, you might find inspiration in Chris Gardner's unwavering determination in the pursuit of happiness.
Or you might pick up some brilliant strategies for data-driven decision-making from Billy Beane in Moneyball.
You might even see a bit of yourself in that rebellious chef from Chef, or realize the importance of giving back to your community like George Bailey in It's a Wonderful Life.
Exactly. So as you watch these movies, pay attention to the choices those characters make, the strategies they use, the relationships they build. You never know what valuable insights you might uncover.
And remember, this deep dive has really just been a starting point, a little spark to get you thinking about your own entrepreneurial journey in a new way.
So we hope this has inspired you to kind of look at your own story through a cinematic lens.
So go ahead, grab some popcorn, put on your favorite business movie, and let those insights and that inspiration roll.
Keep innovating, keep hustling, and keep writing your own amazing story.
And we'll see you back here next time for another deep dive.